Be real Pavarotti.
That's right. I'm knocking down, baby. I know the circular breathing tricks. No, but that's what she taught me. Like to get the voice off without straining is to breathe a certain way from the bottom down here. And, you know, like you're squeezing, almost like you're trying to flex your abdominal, you know, muscles, whatever. And it's almost like you're taking a shit at the same time.
So
right, this is how like you when you take your breaths like that in that situation, you take a small breath and it's actually bigger than a big breath, and you can sustain longer, and you're not like relying on the muscle from your throat or your vocal cords. It's coming from down here. I didn't know any of that shit.
That's a yoga exercise, Cavallo.
Yeah, and I think KRS-One just was born with this ability, because like when you hear him, it sounds like he's doing that every time because his projection is never off.
Certain people's voice is just a boombox. You know?
Yeah, for
Some
sure.
dudes live, like their cardio is crazy.
Chuck D, for his
LL
age
Cool
too,
J.
like he's like out there, like LL.
LL is like him and Karis once to me.
But he trains.
Their breath control is the greatest. So great.
Rakim.
Rakim. But Rakim's so cool. Like LL's out there trying to be like do all these shit.
LL's crazy.
You know, that's the thing though, right? Is getting that part of the game down. Like whatever you sound like in the studio, you got to be able to replicate that live. Because that's the biggest complaint from a fan. Oh man, it was dope, but he was screaming all over the place. Like that was my knock on 50 for a minute. Like you go to a 50 Cent show and he was just stoked that everybody was out there, as they should have been, and he'd be screaming his lyrics, and it never sounded like anything of the albums. He slowly through time he's learned to do this, but I think we all go through that as rappers, unless you're groomed for this. Like if you got someone who went through it, who's there with you day one, hey, listen, don't be screaming, right? Stay calm, body language, all that, but keep your voice like it is on the record, man. That was the biggest thing to me, because I sounded horrible the first 3 years. Like when I look back at any of that footage and listen to the sound of my delivery, man, I'm always cringing on that. Sendog sounds like a star.
I remember the first show in New York. You guys sounded good, man.
Well, you know, that was our
Red Zone. That shit was crazy.
That was one show though. Like when we were going on tours and we're seeing like thousands out there, we're getting excited, and I'm screaming. He's already seasoned because he was out there with his brother doing stuff. You know what I mean? But it was new to me.
Could I ask, like, so how did the voice kind of get discovered? You know what I mean? And how did you kind of transform that into being a good live performance thing?
So I was rapping like in this voice, and Muggs, you know how Muggs.
Like he had told me that the other day. He was like, you know, Muggs was the one who said he heard B-Real rap like that on one track, and he was like, you need to do that all the time.
Well,
but
what happened was,
from there, I want to hear it from you.
Well, so what the actual story is that I was writing a lot of stuff. Him and I were doing a lot of demos, like the stuff that we originally did.
DVX?
Yeah. But all that stuff got stolen, so we had to start from scratch. Muggs put his floppy disk bag down at the airport in New York, and someone ran off with it, and we had to restart everything we were doing. So the first demos, the very first ones with my voice as you hear it now, all that got snatched up. So now we're like having to redo all this stuff. And Muggs hit me with, hey man, we got to do something about your voice. Otherwise, you're going to write songs for Sendog. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Because you got the motive to be in the pen?
Well, yeah, because I was good with the pen. That wasn't the problem. It was my voice was not cutting through any of the beats. The styles were cool, the bars were cool, but like I was not cutting through. So, you know, we were big fans of Ram LZ, all of us.
Of course.
And Mello.
You don't even know what that is.
I don't.
Ram LZ was old school, first generation rapper who was also a graffiti artist. I mean, he's
a crazy artist.
He is the culture of hip hop in the beginning, and he's in this movie called Wild.
I'll ask Dante to give me the full lesson when we get out.
He was in the movie Wild.
He was in a movie called Wild Style, and he referenced a place called Cypress Hill. Sendog lived on
Brooklyn, East New York.
Yeah, I know what Cypress is.
And Sendog lived on a street called Cypress Avenue. So we decided we're going to adopt what Ramel Z said, and this is going to be the name of our group. Instead of Cypress Ave, it's going to be Cypress Hill, right? But one thing that Ramel did that other rappers didn't do was he pitched his voice. He rapped very deep in a deep voice like yours, but deeper. And then half of the rap, he'd pitch it all the way up like you hear mine.